Okay, now welcome. I've put on a song in the background to just kind of lighten up the mood. And I shall tell you a tale that I just made up, and I hope you enjoy. One day in Serbia, no, I'm just kidding, no, it actually doesn't have anything to do with knowledge and for at least I think. I don't know what I'll call it. I'll just leave it something. And I will call it... Well, let me tell you the story. Once upon a time, there was a small creature that came out from the phantom vortex into a strange world it never knew about. Then it saw a four-legged creature walking along, and it decided it would go ask that four-legged creature where it was. But whenever it got closer, the creature was always afraid and would run off, so it just continued on its way, hoping that maybe everyone wasn't as afraid as whoever it was. So, the dark creature continued on, but found only nothing, not even a cricket chirp. Nobody knew what it was, and it didn't know what anyone was either. So they just did their thing and kept their distance. Over time, this dark creature learned from its surroundings. It learned where it was. It knew the ways of the forest. It knew who was at the bottom and top of the food chain. Except for it. It was completely separate from every other living being, having the ability to levitate in midair, yet not too far off the ground, only about a foot off, making it appear to be larger than it really was, which kind of scared away a lot of the smaller animals. Then one day, it came across what appeared to be a porcupine, and it said, "Hello." The porcupine immediately shot its quills up, hitting it in the face. It was scared and ran off into a small hole in a tree. And there it got attacked by a fox, who was defending its pups. It got out of there as fast as it could. And at this time, it was pretty small compared to how big it will really grow. And that's when it said, "Why have so many things turned their backs on me? Is it because I'm different?" That's when one day it found its way back to the phantom vortex and told the great stories of what happened over there, what happened in the forest. And the other phantoms were just so excited by it. They wanted to hear more about it. And that's when more phantoms started coming through the phantom vortex to see what the world was like. Except once the great mira found out what was going on, it told Zios, and because they thought the phantoms were a threat, Zios forbid them ever from coming to the land and sent them back to the vortex. leaving them mad and angry from what had happened, for they only wanted to explore the world and never meant any harm. To this day, the phantoms hated zios, but they swore revenge when the last phantom to go back into its home was the first to come out. It said, "Upon the day once I become king, I promise revenge will be given. You will not rule forever, zios. There is a time when you need to learn that it is unfair to not share the beautiful land that you are so blessed with." Then it was hundreds of years passed until the phantoms came out of the portal again. This time Jamal was in a more peaceful way. People started getting along better, and there wasn't as much fighting. So once the phantoms came back through, the only two that would know about them was Mira and Zios. They came in a large amount, larger than a few hundred years back when they were just curious. And that's when the Phantom King emerged. And he said, "So we meet again, Zios." Zios was very terrified, for the Phantom had grown and had become king. The Phantom said, "So, do you remember what I said all those years ago?" Zios said, "Indeed." And so then the King Phantom said, "Get him." And they attacked. They managed to get Zios, but Mira finally was able to fly away in time. She was going to go warn the animals of what was coming, and now they seeked revenge against them. They had made a mistake that would cost greatly. Ever since then, and after Zios' kidnapping, he hasn't been seen. The only place where he is memorialized is at the temple that the Mira created to memorialize her great friend, a companion, someone who was always there for her. I found this ancient artifact, which is probably from here. And this may give a clue of what Zios looked like. It's an ancient mask, and it's very well detailed. It looks somewhat like this old a fountain sort of thing, maybe a wishing well. But continuing on, then the great war between the animals and the phantoms began. The phantoms have tried to tell the animals what had happened, but there is a miscommunication because the phantoms spoke a foreign language that the animals did not understand. Not only did the animals hate the phantoms, they were also as well afraid. Not knowing when they would attack, where they'd come from, how, what they'd bring with them next. It was all a guessing game. And that's when the alphas just couldn't take it anymore and they needed help. So they sent out animal search parties to go see if they could find where the phantoms were coming from. But before the animals could always get information back, the phantoms would find them and stop them, ambushing them, not leaving one to escape. But that's when someone, a courageous animal, nobody knew what its true form was because it had many. It disguised itself as many animals, leaving many clueless to what it really was. But this animal was able to help and saved the world from the phantoms. The phantoms are probably still plotting revenge, but Zios has been returned, and Zios still hasn't been found. But one day, we may find him, and when that day comes, he'll gladly be home.